Hey there, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. My name is Raven, and today I wanted to do a summer reading wrap-up. I've never done any book content on my channel before. Pretty sure I haven't, at least. And when I asked in a poll on my channel, people voted for me to talk while I was crocheting, and I don't like talking directly to a camera, and I don't really have a good mic setup. So I decided to try and do sort of like a POV crocheting. I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm hoping that it's a good way for me to focus by keeping busy, but I'm also not sure if this was the best project. So before we dive into the books and why I wanted to like start making book content, guess we'll talk about this project really quick. I am doing a sort of like a tote bag situation. I'm doing interconnected double crochet so that it's nice and tall, but it's still nice and tight and won't have any holes to stretch open. I've never done a project with this stitch before, and I'm currently regretting it. I love the texture of it. I think it's very pretty, and I like— oh, I would definitely messed that up there, whatever happened there. But I really like the texture of it. I think it's very pretty and very tidy, other than that spot. And I think the inside of it is cool too. I tend to crochet in the wrong direction because I like the back of stitches more than the front of them. And I think it's going to be really functional because there's not any gappage. So there's not going to be anything like— it's going to have to be really small to follow through. But it's a bit of a bitch to work on. I think it's because I have to take my time with it, and I like to just speed through projects, especially simple projects like what I thought this was gonna be. So I'm gonna be crocheting slower than I'm used to because one, I've got a camera right in front of me, and two, this stitch and I aren't super on friendly terms right now. But it's fine. I'll get progress on this project that I've been avoiding, and hopefully this video will be, I don't know, cozy or relaxing, or it'll feel like we're having a little craft night together. And also apologies just in case I at any point punch my microphone or my camera because I'm not used to crocheting in confined areas. I tend to goblin up and curl up in a ball and just keep everything really close to me, probably because I don't have the best eyesight and I'm just used to pulling everything really close. Yeah, I just don't trust myself to not punch any of my filming equipment, which is another reason why I'm kind of nervous about this video. Anyways, let's talk about books, which is half of why we're here. I've always been a reader, and I started getting back into reading as an adult in the last few years, and in my head, I don't do anything very much. I don't crochet very much. I don't read very much. You know, I just exist. And then, I start measuring the things that I do, like looking at all of my projects around me and going, oh, I do crochet and knit quite a bit. And then I look at my reading app and it tells me that I've read 26 or 27 books in a 3-month span. And I think that does qualify as reading quite a good amount. So I want to talk about reading because it's fun and because I don't have too many people to talk about it with in real life. I do talk about it with my husband, and he's very unwilling. He puts up with it, but like it'd be fun to maybe talk about books that I've enjoyed or haven't enjoyed. I do leave reviews via Kindle Unlimited and Storygraph, which is where I like to track all of my reading. Like right after I finish a book, I just sort of maybe write a paragraph unless I had very strong feelings through it throughout the entire thing. But if you ask me like person to person, what did I think? I can go on for quite some time. So I don't know how long this video will be or how much of a pain in the butt it's going to be to edit. I told myself we're going to stay under 2 hours of filming time, and I think that's doable. I think that's very doable. So, if you're ready, tell me if you are working on anything or playing a video game or just chilling and vibing in the comments. I'm having some coffee. Let me know if you're having a cute little beverage that you're excited about. Let's jump into the books. So at the beginning of the summer, technically the first book I read at the end of spring, but I did read all of the House Witch and following series attached to that universe at the beginning of the summer by, I want to say her pen name is pronounced Delamach, but I am not sure at all. The House Witch series is a cozy fantasy. I'm gonna pause real quick and we're gonna see if I can move my laptop closer. Okay, I've reorganized everything a little bit so that I can have my notes in front of me, and the microphone should still be directed towards my face hole where the noise comes out. Anyways, we're gonna start with the House Witch series, which I really freaking liked most of the books in this. This is a cozy fantasy that follows a house witch named Finn, who becomes the royal head cook and desperately tries and fails to remain anonymous and under the radar and live a peaceful, isolated life. There's romance, comedy, emotions, magic. The first three books follow him as he falls in love with somebody above his station, and he accidentally becomes involved in international events and an upcoming war, as you tend to accidentally do. He also accidentally builds a found family of unexpected friends, and they encourage each other to be more outrageously themselves. The average of all three of the books together got 4.7 stars. The first book was by far the coziest. I enjoyed the plot of all of them. They just got a little less cozy and less low stakes as we went along. It was very cozy, very atmospheric and emotional. The first book, my favorite. Like I said, they got less cozy. I really like how the romance built up and the pacing of it. And I was sad that after book one, Finn worked in the kitchen less, but the characters and the plot were still solid and I enjoyed it. It had some emotional whiplash that I felt like was done very well. And it was that bittersweet, just the kind that you have to get through, that you can't put down like watching a car wreck. That sounds so uncozy, I'm sorry. So following that is The Princess of Potential. This is sort of like a bridge between the first series and the second and third series, which the second series is also 3 books, and the third series is so far 1 book, but the second book of that one is announced to come out. Patience. I will get there. I'm just very excited. I'm sorry. Take a sip of coffee. That'll help the excitement. You know, I have a yarn bowl, but honestly, I don't think it could fit on this desk right now. I'm not even looking at my stitches as I go, which we're gonna see how that goes. Okay, so The Princess of Potential is the single standalone. You could read this without reading the first 3 if you wanted, and it would still be a solid book. This is the bridge between the 2 books. Between the first series and the following series, we're jumping forward in time to the next generation and following Princess Alina as she navigates coming of age and finding a suitor to marry. She's also struggling with a chronic illness and hiding it from the court so it's not used against her. And I gave this 4 stars at the time, but like looking back, I should have rated it higher, maybe 4.5 or 5. Like, I really did like this book. I think I like it even more seeing how Alina's story moves forward. It was less cozy than the original series and a lot more romance focused, which I'm not complaining about. That's just something that I noticed. I got annoyed with the miscommunication and repeated mistakes, but looking back, it was a solid read on its own and the bridge between the series. I liked watching Alina grow more confident and strong enough to make herself heard, and watching her and her future husband fall in love made the upcoming series feel so much sweeter. I'd be open to more books just focused on them as a couple because I really love Grumpy Sunshine. Like, it was kind of a twist who she ends up with, and it was a good twist. I really like it. It probably wasn't a twist to other people. I felt like some other people were being propped up as a better suitor. Anyways, the Burning Witch series. This is another set of 3 books. It's in the same universe. We're now following the events of the Princess of Potential. Following the events of the Princess of Potential, we're following Finn's daughter, Katarina, as she travels to Troyvac to protect and serve Princess Alina, and she settles into her new role as queen. I only left one of the books to review, and it was a 3.5, which isn't a terrible, it's not a terrible rating, but it is lower than the first 4 of this universe. I didn't dislike the series. It didn't feel as strong as the first 4. The plot itself was interesting, but it didn't feel as cleaned up and narrowed down. And in a few ways, it got messy. And not like the fun drama messy, just like a little bit of a clusterfuck messy. I felt the politics of this book were pretty solid, and I think the magical elements were where things got messy. It was still funny and a decent read, but I just feel like it needed to be combed out and edited a bit more. And I did read another book in between, but I'm gonna keep all of our Delamont books together because that makes sense. The Casting Call, the Ether Witch Book 1, which is the only one that's out so far. This is the first book in the fourth House Witch series. Now we're following Finn's son, Tam, or Tamlin, as he travels to Zimvera with his new assistant as a royal diplomat. Tam is in his late 20s, or maybe it was early 30s now that I'm thinking about it. I can't remember. And he's very introverted, socially anxious, and just trying to live up to his parents' expectations and reputations while also trying to keep everyone safe and at an arm's distance from his magic that he doesn't understand, let alone know how to control. He's the black sheep of the family and is going to be inheriting the family titles. He's up to the work of the job, but terrified of personal connections. The personal connections part required to create, a family and heir. I gave this a 5-star. It was fantastic. I had so much fun with the drama, the twist, the build-up, everything. I'm slightly feral for the next book, which Google says might be out in October. When I Googled that while writing this script, I made a animal noise and it scared everyone in my household. I'm so excited for the second book. I think this is my favorite like sub-series of the universe so far. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere after this. Who knows? After I finished this series, technically like in the middle, after I finished the Burning Witch series, I thought I would take a little palate cleanser just to read something else, and I read The Cruel Devotions by J.P. Sina. This was a very short werewolf romance, very loose on that term, that I thought would be a little palate cleanser before I moved on to the next Delamok book in the universe, and I'm really happy that I don't remember more of this book. It was a very brief taboo spice book that was just not for me. Oh, it is time to feed my children. I left it 1 star, and that's kind of all I want to say about it. After this, I read The Scorned Prince. I don't remember the author, but it's on the screen. I really remember what the book is about. I left it 3 stars. This was harder for me to get through. It was kind of on the cusp between sci-fi and fantasy, and I'm just not a sci-fi person. I think it's really cool. I can't focus on it for some reason. My camera battery died, and then Mischief came over for scritches. So if you see more flying in the air, that's why. It was hard for me to focus on. It was on the cusp of sci-fi and fantasy, which sci-fi is cool. I have trouble focusing on sci-fi. I don't know why. So I struggled a bit to get it to pique my interest, and I decided not to read the rest of the series, at least for now. Maybe in the future. Probably not. I also read this during a heat wave, according to my review, and it made it a little more sluggish to get through. I honestly can't remember most of the plot other than following a girl. I don't remember what she was doing. Storygraph doesn't have a blurb or a description on the book, so it wasn't memorable for me. I don't think I was the target audience, which is fine. But who I am an intended audience for is To Trap a Soul by Opal Rain. This is the prequel to the Duskwalker Bride series, which I read at the end of last year, beginning of this year, and it is one of my favorite series. We follow the parents of the Duskwalker from centuries ago when they first met and bonded in a mutually beneficial arrangement that grew into love and affection. It's a very slow burn, and we're talking like centuries long slow burn, but it's satisfying. Both main characters are growing up in their own ways and operating as very separate parties, but they slowly learn about each other and about themselves through their interactions and time together. I gave this 5 stars. It's still my favorite series from the last couple of years at the very least. And I was so excited for this prequel series to come out. This is not necessarily a book for someone who is looking for a lot of conflict or like a grand battle, but if you liked the Duskwalker Brides, this is a phenomenal way to dive into the lore and build up what's already set in place for the series. It does contain a miscommunication trope, which I generally don't like, even though it's very common. But in this circumstance, it made sense and it was understandable, so I was okay with it. Still not my favorite thing, but she even says, like, in the beginning, like, author's note that, like, we just need to trust her with it. And I did, and I was not disappointed. It was a pretty well done one. A Fellowship of Bakers and Magic. I've been getting this, like, recommended to me by the algorithm so much, but I was afraid that I wasn't gonna like it because I've noticed the books that tend to advertise how cozy they are, they just, I don't know, they don't hit the spot. I want them to be cozy, and a lot of them are, but a lot of them, I don't know. That's probably a conversation for a different time. This is a cute little book that we have a very Great British Bake Off inspired competition in a fantasy world. We follow a human girl who wants to compete so that she can use the prize money to help her struggling baking business, but she also doesn't feel like she belongs because humans are kind of looked down upon by most of the magical society. I don't want to like accidentally give spoilers, and I also don't want to say anything inaccurate because I did read this several months ago and my brain has maybe too many books in it, but I gave this a 3.75 stars. I thought it was pretty cute. It was fun. It was fine. My biggest complaint in my review was that I hate when we spend a whole book building up a romance and then right when we get to where the romance is gonna happen, the author bails and like just like doesn't want to be a part of it anymore. No, I find that very unsatisfying, and I'm not saying like spice. I just mean like being in the relationship and the cuteness. Yeah, which is probably spoiler, and I'm sorry, but like that was my biggest complaint about the book. I Ran Away to Evil by Mystic Neptune. Okay, so we have a story about a princess who's being raised as a crown prince by really cruel and unusual parents who sent her off to defeat the evil overlord across the border. There is a lot of comical misunderstandings, and she ends up falling in love with our evil overlord, going to therapy, dealing with trauma, while also being a complete badass and a very sweet, cute little cinnamon roll. This was a 4 stars. I don't remember why I didn't rate it higher, but it was really cute. It was really funny, very fun, and I want to read more of this series. I just sort of like, I wasn't in the right headspace for it, and I needed something a little grittier after this book. So no, that's not accurate. Mm, I don't remember why I was like, no, I don't want to read more. I think I was worried about being disappointed because of how much I liked the first book of the series, how much I liked the coupling for the second book in the series. So I think I just got nervous and didn't read it. But I will. I will, as long as you guys remind me to, I guess. I don't know. After this, I read The Wild Oak Woods by January Bell, or at the very least, I read the first 3. The first 3 books are To Tame a Trickster Fae, How to Woo a Warrior Orc, and How to Please a Princely Fae. The setup of this series is very low stakes and very cute, and I loved the first book. I gave it a 4.5 stars. I liked the second book until the ending. I mean, I guess you're here if you want spoilers. I get, a little bit, like, I'm not trying to like spoil everything. I'm gonna keep it vague. But yeah, no, the ending, we threw the whole low stakes concept out the goddamn window and we threw in much higher stakes, and that made me angry. The third book felt really disjointed and confusing tone-wise. The third book made me so angry. The plot of the main couple from the third book was fine, but the plot threading through from that previous ending was stressful. It was very stressful. And all of the way all of the witch's friends like treated her when she asked for help with like a fairly reasonable situation to need help in. It made me mad for her, and I didn't enjoy it. So like, To Tame a Trickster Fae got 4.5 stars. I really liked it. Very cute, low stakes. The second book was good. I liked most of it until the ending, and like the ending was such a hard turn that I gave it 3 stars instead of higher. And that third book, where we decided we're not going to focus on friendship, we're not going to focus on low stakes, we're going to like abandon each other. Like, what the hell was going on there? That got 1 star. I don't want to go into like all of the specifics because then it would get too spoilery. If you want me to rant about a book, this specific book, I might have to reread the series, but I will. It will be a very spoilery series, very spoilery book, but video. Goodness, yeah, I'm getting worked up, I think. So we're gonna move on. The average between all 3 of the books was 2.83 stars, and it's very noticeable to me that they slid downwards. They went down with each book. I don't know. I do like the author's writing style, and I am willing to read more of her books because I'm pretty sure she has like quite a few books written. But I that last book really threw me. Okay, so we're moving away from like our cozy cinnamon roll fantasies to some more monstery romance. This one isn't super hard romance or super hard monster, but we have Love and Other Atrocities by Ray Linehan. I don't know. I'm sorry. I really liked it. Okay, so we have a very depressed guy, and he ends up unwillingly hosting a demon on her first possession assignment. She can't work with how depressed he is, so they decide to find an exorcist together. Actually, I think she's the one who initiated looking for an exorcist so she could leave. She was like, I can't work with this. I can't work in these circumstances. And they meet an ex-priest, a former priest turned con man, and something, a whole bunch, like, not too much stuff happens, a lot of spice happens, and we end up with a throuple situation, and I loved it. I was so happy. This was a very cute, very sweet book. I really liked the relationship workings together, and I liked watching everything like grow. The spice was pretty good. I tend to not like written spice. I would prefer it to be illustrated, but this spice was actually pretty good. And yeah, it was a fun time. If you like demon monster romance, I think this one was pretty good, especially if you're okay with MM. We have another multi-part series, and this is The Shades of Sanctuary by Cass O'Shire. Not all of them are technically a part of the series, but all of them are a part of the same universe, so I just grouped them all together because it made sense for the video. We have books 1 through 5. Technically, the first 3 are the series that I can tell, and then we've got 2 related books. The series takes place in a world that was created and designed by a goddess who, at the time of creation, was pretty immature and childish, and she continued developing this world as she herself developed and grew as a person and an entity, which is really a really cool concept. All of the books take place while she is in a deep slumber and being protected by a very secretive community of mystical, magical beings that are entirely devoted to keeping her hidden from the rest of the world so that, like, no one can come exploit her weakness. They're written from the POV of a scientist who found the community by accident in the first book and has joined the community with the sole intention of documenting the history and stories of the people involved. Really cool world building. I loved how the author wrote this all together. It's so cool. Really enjoyable characters, and most of these books are what I consider to be low stakes, with emotional points being handled pretty well. One of them in particular is not as low stakes as the other. Not saying I didn't enjoy it. I really did enjoy it. It wasn't as low stakes. Yeah, it was a really cool series that packs a punch. The books are fairly short in comparison to like some other books that I've been reading this summer, but they're very well built. Very cool. I really want to read more of Casso Shire's stuff in the future. I think I've read most of what she has up on Kindle. I'm waiting to read one of the books until closer to winter because it looks like it's supposed to be a Yuletide story, which, you know, I want it to be festive. All of the books, one by one, and their star rating. We have A Polar Expedition and Other Research Opportunities. This is the first one where we're following the scientist herself. I gave this 4 stars. I really liked it. It was pretty quick. It was really cute. I liked the romance. On the Care and Keeping of Orcs, this was really cute. It wasn't, I don't know, looking back, I think it was really cute and I really enjoyed it. So I might have to like reread it to see why I gave it, but I gave it 3.5 stars. This was a really cute single mom story, and we also had, yeah, no, I think this should have gotten a higher rating. Like the more I think about it, I'm wondering what I didn't like about it. I don't have the review in front of me. The Rake, or The Orca Who Met His Match in a Selkie Desiring Revenge. This is the book that I said was higher stakes. This was the higher stakes book. I really liked it. I liked a lot of it. I think I only gave it 4 stars because it was not low stakes, but it was handled very well. The higher stakes were worth it to see how the characters grew. Also, like, my favorite animal is an orca, so yeah, it was gonna be one of my favorites anyways. Moving on to like the shorter of the two, the shorter stories, we've got 2 of them. We have The Intimate Excerpt from the Diary of Our Lady. 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. I think this is a great, like, little read for anyone dealing with perfectionism and guilt from their past mistakes. Really good, pretty quick to get through. I think I read it in like a day and a half of like picking it up here and there. I didn't want to put it down, but I had life responsibilities and I ate it up. The Curious Incident of the Great Cookie Snackcident of 979. I didn't leave this a star review, but I know I did like it. I think I just felt a little off about it compared to all of the other books. It does add more world building, and I really liked the like creature creation thing that we've got going on. The shades were really interesting. The romance was very cute. It was just really short, almost slice of life, like with like a side plot going on, which I liked. It just, I don't know, I think it needed more. Not including the like unrated book. The average of the series was 4.1 stars, and I think that's a really good rating for an entire series. An entire series. I think that's a pretty like commendable situation. Not that like I'm a professional critic or anything. Moving from some cute cozy stuff that I really liked to some cute cozy stuff that I wanted to like. We have The Baby Dragon Cafe by A.T. Oh goodness, that's really far away. I want to say it's Koreshi. I'm very sorry if I mispronounced that. I really wanted to like this book. So we have a local cafe owner starts working for an inexperienced dragon owner as a baby dragon trainer to help pay for the damages in her shop that are caused by allowing baby dragons in the vicinity. I gave this 1.5 stars. And I'm really sad that I gave it that low of a rating. I wanted to like this. I really did. I loved the setting. I loved the idea of the characters. I loved the food that she wrote about. Oh my gosh, I was so upset that I couldn't eat off the page. But everything felt so inconsistent and very contradictory, and so many parts made me outright angry in a really irrational way. I finished it, but I don't want to read it again because of how mad it made me. And like some of it was like really small stuff that I know I shouldn't have been angry about. And then some of it was not small. Some of it was like pretty substantial things. It was so off. And I know that there are 2 more books, and one of them's even on Kindle Unlimited. I got the paperback of this book, and I really did want to like it. Like, it's such a cool concept. Very cute. But the actual product was just I didn't like it. I didn't have fun. It wasn't for me. And I'm really sad about that because I wanted to like it. I really did. Okay, so you're gonna notice like a small trend. Facebook and Instagram was sending me so many orc ads. And I know it was sending me more because I was clicking on them. But they were all specifically orc romance by different authors. I did stop clicking on them after a certain one of the books made just like I really didn't like it. But we've got a few orc romances. And the first one is The Orc and the Innkeeper by Cora Crane. So we have a human innkeeper who agrees to pretend to be her ex-bully from high school's human fiance to help him get a business deal, and in return he is helping to pay, well, he's entirely paying for an exterminator for her inn. He is trying to prove that he has changed as a person and that he is not who he used to be. He's no longer a bully. There are some meddling parties involved that don't want them together. I gave this 3 stars. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't for me. I didn't like the female main character. And once again, I don't like miscommunication tropes very much. Especially when they're like, if they're easily resolved, they annoy me. just, I just want people to talk to each other. Our next orc book is Gentling the Beast by L.V. Lane. Gentling the Beast by L.V. Lane, our female main character is essentially a prisoner of war, and she has been selected for a very specific job for her skill set. That sounds so intense. It's going to take her away from the very safe setting that she has been hiding in for her entire prisoner of warhood life. When her mom died, she told the female main character to find the biggest, strongest man that she could and to use her body to keep him happy and to keep herself safe, which is a wild. Okay, fine. So she does. That's what she does. She follows that advice. An orc saves her from being SA'd. Please check your trigger warnings on this book. An orc saves her from being assaulted when she decides to overcome her aversion to him, and she becomes his mate. She does end up falling in love with him by the end. I really liked like the first 75% of this book. I gave it a 3.5. And then we hit the 75% mark. The first 75%, it was emotional and intriguing and pretty meaty. Then we hit part 4 and the 75% mark, and the whole book and tone just like it took a really hard pivot, and suddenly I feel like it didn't get enough time to breathe like the rest of the book did. And I liked the ending itself, but like that 75 to 95% chunk was really disjointed and less enjoyable to a pretty significant degree, in my opinion. It felt like a completely different book had started in the middle. Like it detracted from the rest of the book for me, so that's why it was a 3.5. It would have been like higher if it hadn't been like that, but that's where we were. So the last book that made me stop clicking on orc ads was The Midwife and the Orc by Finley Fenn. This is a part of a much bigger series, but of like standalone orc romance books. We are following the daughter of a lord who is a fully trained midwife, and she wants to set out on her own and get away from her over-controlling father and her dickhead of a fiance. So she moves to her late aunt's house and she wants to pursue her own career in midwifery. House happens to be at the foot of Orc Mountain, and a lot of women are being impregnated by the orcs or leaving human civilization entirely to join the orcs as their mates. The orcs are only male, by the way. There are no female orcs, which is like a important part of the world building, I think. The human politicians are coming up with laws to try and shame and embarrass and punish the women without undoing the peace treaty that they have with the orcs. One orc starts visiting her after she moves in and is very alluring and attractive to her. And her fiance shows up and threatens her and her home, so the orc offers to take her back to the mountain to like protect her garden of medicinal herbs and to also have her treat the pregnant women who don't have access to the necessary health care. I think it's a really cool concept, but the actual book itself, I gave a 1-star review. I did not have fun. I did not enjoy the characters or the vibes after like 60% into the book, and I don't like to DNF after I've hit the middle of a book because I feel like I can just push through it. I didn't enjoy any of the spice, which is like a personal thing. That's obviously just a preference thing, but I didn't enjoy it, and I originally thought it was written by a man, which is never a compliment. The actual resolution of the entire conflict itself genuinely pissed me off. Like, I was so mad, and I I'm not reading the rest of these books, and it kind of ruined orcs for me for a little while. Wrapping up all of our books, we actually got through this in a pretty good amount of time, I think. The last book of my summer was Elven Heartbound, the first and second seasons by Elizabeth Ashe. I don't understand the seasons part of and everything was listed as episodes instead of chapters, which wasn't a huge detail, but I don't particularly understand the difference in what she was trying to differentiate. But either way, the book itself is about two arranged marriages to bring peace between the two kingdoms. We have a prince and a princess from each kingdom that are bound to each other. I didn't write too much of a blurb because I didn't want to add spoilers, and this is like a really easy book to spoiler. But anyways, 5 stars. We ended the summer off real strong. This was very sweet. It was so cute. Very low angst, which I always enjoy. Not always, but like I did enjoy it in this one. Medium to high stakes. Like it's not a necessarily like low stakes book. The families were supportive, which always a nice change of pace. I feel like for a really long time, the fictional standard was that like the families all hate newcomers, and no, the families were very supportive, very sweet. It was really slow paced. That's not a bad thing. It's just like if you don't like slow pacing, you might not enjoy this. There were several reviews I saw that felt like it was boring because of how slow it was, but I thought that it gave the book time to breathe. Yeah, it's a really great book if you like to have a lot of breathing room, and I don't remember if I saw whether or not there are more books out already, but I definitely want to read more of these. They were really enjoyable. That is the last book of the summer. I don't think I'm going to be doing seasonal wrap-ups because I greatly underestimated how much I read in a season. And I think in the future we'll be doing monthly wrap-ups, especially if you guys liked this. With all of that being said, let me know what your favorite book from the summer or just favorite current read lately has been. I hope you guys liked this. It's definitely a different format, and I don't know how well this video is going to come out, obviously, but I had fun and I definitely got a lot of book yapping done. So I'm gonna wrap this up and go act like a small goblin before I start editing. I'm having trouble wrapping this up, I'm sorry. I hope you guys liked this. I hope you are having a great day or that tomorrow is better. Let me know what kind of book content you want to see in the future. I'm still gonna be doing vlogs. I just want like more things to talk about on the channel other than just day in the life, because I feel like I'm a very monotonous person generally. Unless we're talking about my interest. Yeah, let me know what you guys want to see, if it's book content, if it's more crafting content. Let me know if you liked this format and if you liked the whole crocheting while I talk or if it was too distracting. But either way, I will see you guys in my next video. I hope you're having a wonderful day or that tomorrow is better, and I will see you next time. So just talked in a circle. Anyway, bye. Bye. Bye.